here is a swamp person? Well, that was about my reaction whenever I went to college for the first time. I left my rural home in South Carolina in the Francis Marion National Forest, and I went off, and people would ask, are you a beach person or a mountains person? I would say, well, I like both of those, but I really like swamps. And they're like, what? That's weird. Okay, so I grew up in the Francis Marion National Forest in South Carolina in a little place called Hellhole Swamp. Jamestown, South Carolina. There's a congressionally, federally designated wilderness area called the Hellhole Swamp. Right next door, it was called that because when Francis Marion went through there during the Revolutionary War, he said, this place is one hell of a hole. And my parents thought, what a great place to raise a family. So I grew up in this small town with an older brother and sister, 8 and 13 years older than me. I was the youngest one. My closest friend was a 20-minute drive away, pretty rural farm area. But I would watch these TV shows of kids like biking around in their neighborhoods and like knocking on their friends' doors and like babysitting. I was like, what is this world? I have no access to this, no idea what's going on. But I thought, God, it's so cool. I can't wait to have like neighbors and do things like that. Like, what a crazy world. What I had was the woods behind my house, the swamp, my dog, and those were about all the friends I had growing up until I started going to school, of course. So being the youngest person in my house, I felt very disenfranchised and not paid attention to enough whenever I was a little kid. And one day I got mad at my parents, like all kids do, and I decided I'm going to run away. In this vast, empty landscape, where was I going to go? But I'm running away. I'm getting out of here. So I decided it's not going to be like my first attempt to run away in broad daylight with a knapsack, and my dad said, if you don't get inside right now, I'm going to whip your butt. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go back inside then. So this time I was going to do it under the cloak of night. And so I waited until they went to bed. I was geared up, had my plan, I had it all figured out. So I was going to wait. It got a little dark, and I went outside. And see, the part of living in a swamp is it's pretty flat, and so it's this long leaf pine savanna, and I have this ditch. For lack of a better word, if you live in a swamp, you have to drain the swamp. Anyway, so we have to drain the swamp by our house, so we have this huge ditch. Next to our house, we can drive golf balls. It's a long yard. And then right in front of our house, we have this ditch that's mostly dry, so it hardly ever has water unless it's a really bad rainstorm. So it's this flat landscape, and I thought, if I just go lay in that little ditch, he'll never see me. I'll just lay down there, and I'll really get him good. And so about 15 minutes after I leave, this is about 30 yards in front of my house, I hear my mom and dad come outside, and they're calling my name. And I said, oh, they miss me so much. They're never going to do that again and pay attention to me. And right after that, I see my dad's headlights go driving up and down our dirt road. And I say, well, I'm just going to stay here. I'm mad. I'm sitting in this corner, and I'm sitting outside. All those TV shows that I'd been watching my whole entire life with the babysitters and people going to knock on their neighbors' doors, they also told me that I was supposed to be afraid of the dark, and I was supposed to be scared of this nighttime environment. And I found myself laying there feeling really independent, really secure, and I had seen shooting stars before, but I'd never seen them alone, all by myself in a ditch. But it was a real touching moment and a really empowering moment as a little girl and as a child, watching those shooting stars go by and contemplating and feeling justified and free. And so today, I'm lucky enough to be a biologist for the National Park Service, and I'm often finding myself on mountaintops, sometimes alone, looking at the night sky, seeing shooting stars, and have this endless reward of freedom and solitude in the work that I do. I'm super lucky. So I would say that butt whipping that I got that night when I came back home was worth it. So it was fun.